What's up, everybody? Welcome to SGU Uncut. We are in week 6 of our series, Renovate. Halfway there. More than halfway through the series.
Oh, yeah, well, it's 8 weeks, right?
8 weeks.
3/4.
3/4. Quick math over there. Professor Jillian on set. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I guess I'll introduce myself. As you said, my name is Jillian. I've been going to Nativity for a long time. Love this place. And I'm going to University of Delaware in the fall. I'll be a freshman, and my major is medical diagnostics. So, real math nerd things.
Nerd. In a good way. In a good way.
I hope so.
What got you interested in SGU?
Well, I wanted to keep doing small groups after high school, which I did small groups all throughout my time at Nativity. It's always been great. This small group's been even better. Love you guys.
Yes. Shout out.
Yeah, it's just going to be so nice to have that connection in college to keep me tied to Nativity, tied to my faith, wherever I go.
That's awesome. We're happy to have you.
Thank you.
Well, today we're talking about Demo Day. So we're diving into the pain and suffering we go through. And I'm very excited about this topic. So happy to be here.
Oh, yeah.
Just kidding. I actually am excited, though, because I feel like pain is such an important topic because we all go through it. It's not a unique idea. And we have natural reactions. Like, for example, I'm a kickboxer. Mm-hmm. And so when I'm sparring with my coach, he'll throw kicks at me. And sometimes my natural reaction is just to stick my arms out. No, I don't want this. I don't want to get hit. You know, but that's how you break your fingers. Not supposed to do that. I get yelled at every time. But it's just my natural reaction to pain that is inevitably coming. So when is a time that you have had a natural reaction like that to pain?
I feel like for myself, my parents at a young age told my brothers and I that, I mean, this is a pretty well-known quote, but that what happens in life, it's 10% of what happens to you, and then 90% how you react to it. So, like, you could say...
I've actually never heard that. That's
really?
Cool. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, life, everything just happens, but it's really how you react to it that defines your life individually, mm-hmm. like your personality, your character. So I've always tried to focus on that. I honestly can't say that because of like instilling that in myself at a young age, like I can't really say that I've had a bad reaction to pain. I also have not gone through very much of it. I'm not going to lie. Like, God has blessed me.
Just jinxed yourself.
I really did. I mean, I know there's going to be a lot of pain. Like, everyone has pain, and there'll probably be a bunch in my future, but it's just, again, how we react to it, and just consciously thinking about how we react to it, because if you just kind of push it away, it's still going to come.
Break your fingers.
It's going to be even worse. Yep.
Right. You got to have this acceptance attitude about it. You accept the pain that's coming. In the Bible, they even tell us straight up, in this world, you will have trouble. It's inevitable. It's coming. So you can either push it away, use that natural reaction, and get hurt more, or you can accept it, let it in. So back to that kickboxing thing, if instead of putting my arms out, I can catch the kick and take the control, then I can do whatever I want. I got that guy's foot.
Yeah.
I can sweep him. I can
yeet.
Punch him. Yeah, yeet. I have the control. I do whatever I want. So when were you able to take control in some kind of pain that you went through? You said like 90% is the choices you make. So putting that into action, how do you control?
When I think about pain, that's what I do. That's how I control it. I think about it. I think about things really deeply. Can't tell you why. Just do. Just how God made me. And ultimately my process is I think about, like, first, usually I think about what causes something, like, especially in the situation of pain. What causes the pain? Like, how have I reacted to it so far? How can I ease the pain for myself if that's what's supposed to happen? How can I use it to shape how I view things, change my perspective? Like, and then how can I prevent it from happening in the future? Things like that. And usually it takes a religious
spin on it.
Yeah. I can't think of words. I apologize. But yeah, a religious spin on it. So that it's very helpful. And then ultimately after that, like, to put it into action, usually I look to God to see what he wants me to do. There's not always something I can do to change the situation. Usually you just, like you said in this verse, you have to accept it, that you will have trouble. And a lot of that is just changing your mindset so you can grow from it. And that's usually what I do. So.
Right. We accept it because we know God put it in our lives for a reason. There's this passage in 2 Corinthians that says, "We were under great pressure, far beyond our ability to endure, so that we despaired of life itself. Indeed, we felt we had received the sentence of death. But this happened that we might not rely on ourselves, but on God who raises the dead." I love that last line. But this happened that we might not rely on ourselves, but on God who raises the dead. If we rely on God, then we understand that all of this is happening for a reason. So in the Bible, the city is falling apart. All the hard work they put in, it's turning to ruins, and they feel like they disappointed their people and they disappointed God. But they've realized it happened because God wants them to turn back to him. The whole reason we go through this pain is to realize we need God. We can't do it on our own. We need him. Because in the Bible, God gives life. He raises the dead. If God can raise his son from the dead, he can resurrect us out of any disappointment or defeat we suffer, any pain or suffering. What we think is hopeless might be the door to a whole lot more. I love that last line. One, because it rhymes. And two, it really hits home with me. Father Michael said this in one of his messages a couple years ago. And that was like my moment where I was like, all right, God's got this. He's got me covered. It's like last series I talked about my cousin passing away and how by sight, there's nothing good coming from that situation. That's what I think is hopeless. But we turn it around, we talk by faith. It might be the door to a whole lot more. It might lead to something. That situation brought my family closer together. It made me realize I needed God to support me through it. Mm-hmm. So was there a moment or a point where you were able to turn to God?
Yes. So I guess I'll just talk about whatever situation first that caused the pain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let's see. Maybe like 2 years ago, something like that. There's this relationship in my life where I was reciprocating too much and not getting enough in return. I shouldn't have used the word reciprocating because that's not what it was. I was giving too much, not getting what I put in. Mm-hmm. Even I had feelings for the guy, but even just in a friendship aspect, like I was there for him all the time. I was loyal, like I was supportive. I was always interested in what was going on in his life, but he just like, he said nice things to me, which is why I was strung on for so long. Like I believed that he cared, but he didn't show it with his actions, and that really hurt me. And I let it hurt myself for a long time until one day I finally realized that like I didn't have to put myself through it. And yeah.
Did you have a point? So you went through that pain and that suffering. Was there a point you were able to turn it back to God? Like, I'm not doing this anymore.
So there's like this realization I had. I'll never forget. It was New Year's Day of 2020. I was taking a nap because I was out the night before New Year's Eve.
Party girl.
Not really. But, so I'm a light sleeper, so I wake up easily, but there was nothing that happened. Like, I just woke up suddenly and realized that I didn't have to put myself through this. Like, it struck me, and like, I knew it was from God because like when you're asleep, it's like subconscious. I don't like,
you're not purposely thinking of anything.
Exactly. So, like, how did that happen? But it was so sudden, and it was really, like, changed my perspective on how I viewed my worth and the people in my life, like, validation from that. Ultimately, we should always get our validation from God, but we can't help comparing ourselves to people, like, thinking what people think of us. So, just to kind of dial that back a little, focus on the one opinion that matters, and then I just felt free ever since that day.
Yeah, so the suffering we go through, it's an experience, and it can be good, and a lot of times there's a stigma around it, but it can be good. It can be great if we turn it back to God, if we trust in him, realize that he's got us covered. He's got it all in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. Sorry. This turns into song every time we're doing a podcast.
It really does. Oh, man.
The bottom line is that we have to rely on God's control. That's it, and there's freedom in that. There's so much freedom, because once you turn it over to God, it's all in his hands. He's got the whole world in his, all your problems, all your pain, all your suffering. He's got it. You don't have to do it on your own anymore. Yeah. He's got you covered.
Exactly. It's like it sounds like a insurance commercial. Like a good neighbor, God is there.
God is there. I like that.
So random.
So, do you feel freedom in relying on God? Do you experience it? What do you feel when you rely on God?
When I feel so free, because our lives are full of so many decisions, so many paths. Like, we do not know what's going to happen in the future. We can think about it, we can plan for it, but ultimately God makes the decisions. He made the decisions for us long ago. We're just along for the ride. And that's kind of how I live my life. Like, that like time really changed my perspective on a lot of things, mostly having to do with God's control, because I knew I could only do so much for myself, because the rest was up to him. And even in an emotional aspect, in this like freedom with emotional pain and just decisions, like every aspect of life is in God's control. And it's just so freeing. Like, we don't have to make these decisions. They're already made for us. We just have to seek out God's wisdom and what he wants for us, because what he wants for us is better than what we want for us.
Exactly. And that's the bottom line. If we accept that pain is coming, that it is inevitable, we're going to experience it, we allow it into our lives and we learn from it by relying on God. And then we get that freedom. We rely on God, we have freedom, we live a life that we realize, even if we go through bad stuff, it's all okay. Like you said, there's purpose in the pain. And that's the bottom line. Purpose in the pain. Rely on God's control and find that purpose.
Yes.
That's demo day. That's
Demo
it.
day.
That's all we got for you. Well, thank you for joining us today. It's a pleasure having you on set.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Week 6, 3/4 of the way through the series.
Yep, my math nerd, my Chick-fil-A nerd all coming out. I work at Chick-fil-A. Everyone probably knows this by now, but
at least our small group hears a lot about it.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Sorry,
That was
guys.
mean.
I'm
That was
sorry.
mean. Well, we'll catch you next week. We hope that our conversation here fuels your conversation in small group. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you on the flippity flip.
Peace out.